Buenos días, embajador. Buenos días, embajador Jayanta. Es un verdadero honor y placer estar en su casa, en la India. Especialmente en el marco de nuestro congreso online dedicado al Karma Yoga, dedicado al Dharma Yoga. Yoga para construir un mundo mejor. Embajador, bienvenido a España y muchísimas gracias por concedernos este tiempo en sus primeros meses al frente de la embajada. Embajador, usted ha presentado sus cartas credenciales ante Su Majestad el Rey de España en enero de 2026. Con una larga y distinguida carrera diplomática a sus espaldas, ¿cuál es la visión y el impulso principal que quiere imprimir en la relación entre la India y España durante su mandato? ¿Y qué le ha llamado la atención de la vida española desde que llegó?
So, namaskar, good morning and buenos días. So, first of all, Mr. Gopala, thank you so much for your initiative. I'm very happy to have this conversation with you. I also take this opportunity to congratulate you on having this Congress. It's a very good initiative, very timely initiative. Now, coming back to, India-Spain relationship, it is a very good relationship. If you look all the aspects, whether it is trade, investment, tourism, people-to-people contact, it is growing at a very fast pace. And as you know that just like a few days back on 27th of January, India and European Union, we have signed a free trade agreement. So that is also going to give boost to, more trade in goods and services. So we are looking at a very closer partnership with Spain in coming years. By the way, this year we are also celebrating 70th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations. And we are commemorating it by, having this year as India-Spain year of culture, tourism and artificial intelligence. And culture, yoga is also very important part of culture. So your Congress is also, fits very good in that framework. So it's very timely initiative.
Qué bien, ¿no? Tener la posibilidad de celebrar un congreso que vincula a España con la India, justo en este momento histórico, tan relevante, como usted ha mencionado, de la firma de ese gran pacto de damas y caballeros y de esa celebración de tantos años de vínculo de España y la India.
Absolutamente.
Es una maravilla. Embajador, su carrera diplomática comenzó en 1995, si no fallan mis datos, y le ha llevado a muchos destinos. Pero es interesante que ya trabajó usted hace algunos años en la embajada en España. Ahora, como embajador, ¿había algún vínculo personal anterior en la cultura de España? Una obra literaria quizá, una obra musical, algún cuadro de los que necesariamente vamos a hablar, porque esto es una gran sorpresa que tenemos preparado para construir un mundo mejor para este congreso. Algo que le hiciera realmente especial ilusión vivir y explorar, o mejor dicho, vivir y reexplorar en este destino. Porque si yo no recuerdo mal, es la primera persona del cuerpo diplomático de la India que está una temporada como asistente, segundo o tercero, y de repente vuelve años después.
Sí, claro.
Cuénteme.
Sí, muchísimas gracias. Sí, hace 14 años yo trabajaba aquí como consejero en la misma embajada y tengo suerte que ahora vuelvo como el embajador de la India. República de España. Of course, there are, many contacts. In fact, I knew you from my, past posting. I have a lot of friends here, and therefore it's like, coming back home, for me. And that gives, my starting point is very high, because I know a little bit of language, I can, converse a bit, I have so many friends. But you asked a particular question about culture. Of course, like in India, Spain is known. Spain is known, for many things, for sports, for example, for football, for tennis, but also for culture. Everyone knows from where the flamenco music comes. So, so if I have to name, a few cultural aspects, I'm deeply interested in painting. The first thing which I did after coming here is to go to Museo del Prado and see the dark paintings of Goya. Because I'm so fascinated by his paintings. I like Velázquez, I like El Greco. Of course, everyone knows about Pablo Picasso, Salvador Dali, and Juan Miro. So this entire legacy of, Spanish artists. Also, I also found, that time I used to read some poems. And this Lorca's, Verde que te quiero verde.
Verde que te quiero verde.
Or, this Bodas de Sangre. They are a very deep, very intense kind of poetry. In fact, I had illustrated, through one painting, Bodas de Sangre. Of course, it's not with me now. I sold it, that painting. It's somewhere in Spain,
What?
At that time. Yeah. So there's deep cultural affinity, so a lot of connection, in that sense.
Es decir, que esto no estaba preparado, queridos asistentes a este congreso de yoga para construir un mundo mejor, pero es imposible no anticiparlo, aunque luego estaremos un poco más tarde con detalle en relación con este tema. Claro. Pero estamos delante de una obra pintada por el embajador de la India. Y esto es una gran sorpresa, os lo comunico. Llevo muchos años viniendo a esta casa, pero nunca con las obras del propio embajador.
Muchas gracias.
Hablamos de ello luego, embajador. La India es la cuna del yoga. Y España es uno de sus países adoptivos. De hecho, España fue seleccionada junto a otros 16 países para conmemorar el 10º aniversario del Día Internacional del Yoga en la India, donde acudimos 16 países. Yo tuve el honor de representar a España y estar allí. Es decir, es un buen hijo adoptivo, ¿no? Más allá de su dimensión espiritual o de bienestar, el yoga, ¿cómo ve usted el potencial de este arte, de esta ciencia, de esta experiencia del yoga como una herramienta viva de diplomacia pública para fomentar una colaboración, digamos, más estrecha en ámbitos a lo mejor no tan conocidos o no tan vinculables del yoga, como es la cultura o la educación o incluso la investigación?
Thank you so much for reminding us about International Day of Yoga. As all of us know that, Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, he took initiative and we have been celebrating this day since 21st June 2015 as International Day of Yoga. Since then, it has been converted into a movement. That I was so pleasantly surprised to see that more than 5 million Spaniards, they practice yoga regularly. There are more than 300 million people in the world who practice yoga. So now it is not, these days it doesn't happen only from like 21st June to 21st June. It has become a movement. It has become like a continuous process. Of course, yoga is basically for the well-being, so it is for having balance in life, and it has some byproducts, which can be extended to having cultural collaboration, collaboration in the field of education, etc. as byproducts. So that's a possibility, and I think that's already happening.
Nuestro congreso, embajador, se centra en este año en el Karma Yoga y en el Dharma Yoga, en el Dharma. Tenemos que sumergirnos, como siempre hacemos en estas entrevistas, en los textos sagrados, en los textos clásicos. En la Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, como avatar, como amor incondicional, insta a Arjuna, el aprendiz, el estudiante que somos todos, a actuar sin apegos hacia el futuro. Es uno de los elementos esenciales de la Bhagavad Gita. En su experiencia, en la suya personal, como servidor público, ¿cómo se traduce este principio milenario del servicio desinteresado en la práctica diaria de la diplomacia y en la gestión de la embajada?
It's not an easy question, but let me try to answer. Now, what Lord Krishna told to Arjuna at the time, that you do your karma and don't get attached to the consequences. That's the crux. But we have to understand, who was Arjuna? I think Arjuna was the best warrior, right? You remember the story that, when he was studying under, Guru Dronacharya. I mean, all Pandavas and Kauravas, they were studying. And there was Guru Dronacharya put a wooden bird, on the tree. And he asked, Kauravas and Pandavas the question, what do you see? So some people say that I see trees, some say that I see branches. But when it comes to Arjun said, I see the eye of the bird. So that was the focus of Arjuna. I think what Lord Krishna was trying to do at that time is that, get Arjuna to that focus back again. And then he was explaining the essence of life. Now look, when Krishna was talking to Arjuna, that, don't get attached to the consequences, don't worry about the consequences. But at the same time, Krishna wanted Pandavas to win the war. So he had that objective in mind. But just to motivate Arjuna, he was telling. Now, when we try to translate it, in our own profession, we have to set target. Now, for example, if the trade is growing at 6%, 7% now, I would definitely like to grow it by 10%. Then I have a strategy. And then, we work on that strategy. And then, now the question comes whether it is achieved after 1 year or we do not achieve that. Then what are the issues? But, that don't get disappointed. So I think, there are two lessons in this, that you prepare yourself so well that when you do the right things in right way, you are bound to have the desired consequence. Yeah.
Thank you, Ambassador. India y España son dos grandes civilizaciones con diálogos realmente fascinantes. Como dos grandes países, dos grandes territorios llenos de seres humanos magníficos, han tenido sus momentos hacia arriba y hacia abajo, ¿no? Sus tragedias y sus grandes éxitos, ¿no? A mí me llama mucho la atención, por ejemplo, que el gran Tagore admiraba a Cervantes, ¿no? Y hay reseñas en su literatura sobre Cervantes. Algunos encuentran, por ejemplo, ecos entre las ragas musicales y el canto gregoriano. Y hay muchos más ejemplos, pero no quiero poner demasiados. ¿Hay alguna expresión artística, embajador, o tradición cultural de la India que le haya sorprendido encontrar aquí con una resonancia especial, o al revés, o algo que cuando está en India le resuena a España?
Okay, so you have touched upon a very important theme, that we are civilizational countries. Let me, expand it a bit. When we say that a civilizational country, it's not only about having few monuments or few, like books of the past. When we talk about Indian civilization, we talk about Vedas, Upanishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata, the period of Ashoka, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, and coming to, today's India. So during this period that we have done many things that, maybe, even 2000 years back, that we were able to calculate the distance between the celestial bodies. We were very good at the mathematics, science, medicine, that surgeries used to happen. And even like, the binary 1-0 system, for the grammar of the poetry, that system was invented. The entire today's world, the internet, computer, they are based on this. So we knew that, and then that from 9th century AD till 17th century, 18th century, India contributed 25% to the global GDP. So we also knew how to live an affluent life, a sophisticated life. We were good at architecture, etc. So all those things, they remain, they don't go away. We knew what is democracy, we knew what is Swaraj, what is self-rule and all. So that civilizational aspect also gets translated in today's world. For example, when we had G20 presidency, then Honorable Prime Minister of India, so we conducted, under his leadership, G20 presidency under the theme of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means that the entire world is a family, So it has those aspects. So we want to have, this civilizational thing tells us that the world has to have a balance. And that balance comes through multipolar world, then, strengthening the multilateral regimes. And here comes, and then having international rule of law, So here comes, the affinity between the Spanish vision and ours. So we, both of us want to have, strengthening of multilateral regime, and then there should be rule of law, etc. So that, so this is on a very broader, political theme. But of course, you have given some examples. See, it is so fascinating. Of course, now their travel has become very easy and all. But even that time, people have been traveling quite extensively. Therefore, we see many common words. There will be some common words, like, words coming from Spanish language into Indian and vice versa. Like I have served, in the like Southeast Asia. I could see the impression of the India's spiritual thought on those countries. So with Spain also this has been happening. Now, more I listen to flamenco music, more I watch the flamenco dance, I see more affinity, And in fact, I took some interest in that, because every music has some grammar, and so the flamenco music. So, there are scales, of course, like Western classical music also, there will be major scale, minor scale, 7, this, etc. But flamenco has, some specific scales, like, Andalusia, they have, a typical scale, and then they, I think, call frijoro, that is one scale. And there is a coincidence between these scales and raga, India's, this classical music, so that system. And even the flamenco dance, there's a lot of affinity between the rhythms, Indian rhythms and the Spanish rhythms. They say that, it traveled through the gypsies from Rajasthan, a state of Rajasthan. So you see a lot of affinity. And, I tell you, the test of affinity between the civilization is that how do you feel in that country when you visit that country?
Yeah.
If you feel at home in that country, it means there is already affinity, and that happens with most of the Indians.
Yeah.
So those who come here, not only me, but those who come here, they feel very much at home,
Yeah.
It also has to do something with sun. So wherever there's more sun, like people go onto the street, look at each other, smile at each other, start talking to each other like that. So that also brings a lot of similarity, So we are very sunny countries, Yeah, blessed by sun, yeah.
So sun
plays a very important role.
Countries, nos une.
Sí.
Embajador, un puente fundamental es la comunidad india que reside en España. Desde su perspectiva, ¿qué cree que es lo más valioso que esta comunidad aporta al tejido social y económico español? Y de alguna manera también cómo puede España enriquecer aún más la experiencia de esta comunidad que ha hecho ya de España parte de su hogar.
So, if you look at the Indian diaspora in Spain, it is not that much, So we have like 50,000 Indian passport holders and around 25,000 people of Indian origin. But I tell you one characteristic of Indian diaspora, that they get integrated with the local community very well. They live very peacefully and in harmony with the local. They adopt, to the culture and to the mannerism of the local people. So, they are very good example of how, a foreign community can get integrated with, like people of other country. Of course, it is always enriching experience that, when they come here, they also start, going around and learning things and watching things. They also bring some values. They take their friends to India, take them to different places, etc. And, others also, see for themselves different aspects of India. So that how, lives of people is enriched. Yeah.
Embajador, la India es una potencia tecnológica y de innovación que sorprende, nos sorprende cuando conocemos este aspecto, ¿no? Con un dinamismo realmente asombroso, ¿no? Especialmente en los últimos años, ¿no? Pero simultáneamente, y esta es la parte que los yogis conocemos más, ¿no? Es la guardiana, de alguna manera, de una sabiduría ancestral sobre la conciencia, la armonía, el equilibrio. ¿Cómo se combinan estos dos conceptos, el equilibrio y la sinergia entre el progreso material tan desbordante en el que nos encontramos y la preservación y proyección global de este conocimiento filosófico en el mundo? Necesitamos urgentemente encontrar un puente, ¿no?, entre ese desarrollo inmenso y esa vigilancia de la conciencia, ¿no?, que es imprescindible en nuestras vidas.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for this observation. Okay, let me give my interpretation. It's not an easy question. But see, like I have mentioned that India is a civilizational country. So, the school of mathematics and science was also developed very much at that time. But at the same time, the philosophical and spiritual life, it was also growing. So over the period of time, I think that has continued. And I see, one very interesting phenomenon, because of this technology and all, now there are a lot of, YouTube channels and a lot of podcasts are happening, and I see that a lot of young people, they are doing podcasts, they are bringing gurus and sharing their knowledge about the spirituality, about Bhagavad Gita, about Upanishads, about interpretation of Mahabharata, why this had happened, why that had happened, and they have millions and millions of viewers. I think the technology is also while the technological aspect is growing, technology is also helping to spread the spiritual ideas. And this is just fascinating,
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And by the way, I want to add one more thing. See, there's no contradiction between the technological development and the spiritual aspect. Because I met many Indian scientists, those who are working on very serious projects. I think all of them are very spiritual and religious, Most of them, I found them, So there's no contradiction. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
It's good that we don't find contradiction. Okay.
I think spirituality is so encompassing, it can't contradict with anything. Yeah.
Hay dos conceptos que, embajador, a mí me llaman la atención poderosamente de la India. Uno es el concepto del Dharma.
Yeah.
Estos conceptos son muy difíciles de traducir, no solo al español, sino a las lenguas occidentales. El Dharma. Dejémoslo en un actuar, en una vida correctamente. Y otro que es el yugat, es solucionar con ingenio cuando uno tiene recursos ilimitados. Bueno, de alguna manera en España hemos conocido todo el fenómeno de la picaresca, ¿no?, que está muy relacionado con este yugat, ¿no? ¿Cómo podríamos combinar, ya buscando estos puentes, estos equilibrios, la sabiduría del Dharma, que es precisamente uno de los temas de nuestro congreso, con la ingeniosidad del yugat para inspirar realmente soluciones innovadoras, éticas y que nos ayuden a todos en ese puente de equilibrio?
Excellent observation again, See, you yourself have said that because we are a big country, we are the largest country in the world, with 1.4 billion population. And of course, there are limited resources. So how do you increase the quality of life of people with those limited resources? So the option is to find solution which is very inexpensive. But you are connecting it with dharma, but when you follow dharma means the right path, the right way, right? So there is, you don't have to violate the right path to arrive at jugaad. It is not exactly a jugaad thing, but this ability to find, like very, very inexpensive solutions. The best example is Jaipur foot, that prosthetic limb which is created. Now, if you have to buy that, that artificial limb in the developed countries, it could be like, 2,000 euros or maybe 5,000 euros, etc. In India, they do it for $30, So that is the technology which they have developed. And, so that has been like, our approach to life. We have sent a mission to Mars. And, its budget, it was around $70 million. So it is less than the movie Gravity, So, yeah, so that's how it is.
Buen ejemplo ese.
Yeah. In fact, our Prime Minister told, it in a very interesting way. He says that, for the mission from Earth to reach the Mars, we spend more, and we have this three-wheeler, they call as tuk-tuk, auto rickshaw, we call it as. So the per kilometer cost of tuk-tuk is more than the mission to Mars,
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how it was explained, yeah.
Volvemos a hablar de equilibrio, embajador. Dado que el yoga es como un elemento sustancial de esta conexión del equilibrio, tengo que preguntarle. Esto es personal y asumimos que no quiera contárnoslo, pero tenemos que animarle a ello. ¿Forma parte de la práctica del yoga y la meditación su rutina personal para mantener con claridad una vida tan exigente como es ser embajador de, como usted bien ha dicho, el país más poblado de la India? ¿Forma parte de su día a día?
I'm giving you a very honest answer, right? So I have been practicing yoga earlier intermittently, like from 2005 I was intermittent, I was not very serious. But since 2016, around February, so I learned, a specific type of meditation from Isha Yoga, they have this inner engineering program. And since February 2015 till today, I have not missed a single day of practicing inner engineering. I do it very, very consistently. Like I have stayed in different countries, different cities. My job also demands me to travel. Sometimes I have to take, flight at 4 o'clock in the morning, etc. But I get up early. I do my, inner engineering. So it takes, around 45 minutes in all, I do that and then only. Without doing that, I don't get out of my house. Yeah. So I have been practicing. I tell you, it has helped me in different ways. First of all, it certainly, practicing yoga certainly bring balance between mind and body, and then, you start appreciating nature. So that kind of balance. Then, that you use the word equilibrium. Absolutely, it brings equilibrium. Your approach becomes more balanced. And for me personally, I see that one more, huge benefit is that, since I also paint, I have a full job, full-time job, regular job. Sometimes I also have to sit late and, go on weekends for work. And after that, whatever time is left, I paint. So I need a lot of emotional energy, to do painting. I think yoga has been really helping me, in that sense. Yeah.
El próximo Día Internacional del Yoga, del que ya hemos hablado, es una cita clave. Bien es cierto que a los yogis, que somos los que practicamos yoga, simplemente tantos millones de seres humanos en el mundo ahora mismo, nos importa más los 364 días del año que no son el Día Internacional del Yoga, para que no practiquemos yoga de 21 de junio, como usted decía, en 21 de junio. ¿Cómo imagina usted como embajador este próximo Día Internacional del Yoga de 2026? ¿Hay algo nuevo que estamos preparando?
No, Mr. Gopala, honestly, as you know, I have said that it has turned into a movement. Now, after coming here, I already have started contacting, some yoga centers. They have started approaching me, from Granada. So, Miss Shankari approach, from Guadalajara. So, Guadalajara, yeah. So, Miss Maiti, she came and approached. So, we already have started planning that, that we have to do, not only it will, 21st June will be the high point, but we also want to do over weekends in different places, the talks, the demonstrations, the practice, etc. My aim is to celebrate yoga in all the regions of Spain.
Good.
So that is the objective, which I have kept for myself, and I will also seek your support, of course,
in that. Por supuesto. Y además construir un mundo mejor como organización colaborará especialmente en ese desarrollo, no solamente en España, sino en los países que son destinatarios, especialmente países latinos, de América. Como reflexión final, también personal, ¿hay algún principio o enseñanza, quizá algún verso de la Bhagavad Gita que haya sido, embajador, su brújula constante para servir al país con ecuanimidad y que de alguna manera le acompañe también en este viaje por España?
This is a very tough question to quote something from Bhagavad Gita, just one thing. But what is more important, I think, if we look at Mahabharata, in totality, and of course Gita, it's all it's not just a war for the sake of kingdom. It is about the ethics. It is about the right way. It is about preparing yourself. So all these are the lessons which we learn from the epic. But if I have to name something, so there is some one shloka which begins like yogartha kuru karmani, which talks about the equilibrium. So whatever happens in your life, so you don't lose that equilibrium. You have the balanced approach. I think, personally for me, I think that is one of the most important things.
Embajador, ha sido realmente un privilegio y un gran aprendizaje escuchar sus reflexiones. A mí me gustaría dos pequeñas llaves para cerrar y abrir esta entrevista. La primera es que se dirigiera usted al Congreso de Yoga para construir un mundo mejor, que nos escucha, para animarnos a todos los yogis, estudiantes de yoga o quienes simplemente atienden este congreso, si pudiera dirigir algunas palabras de corazón.
Muchísimas gracias. Primero le felicito por su iniciativa y yo le deseo lo mejor el Congreso. Sí.
Gracias, embajador. Y la segunda llave es para mí no para cerrar, sino abrir, porque para mí ha sido, después de tantos años de venir a esta casa de la casa, ¿no? El lugar donde estamos es la India y además es la casa del embajador. Encontrarme algunos cambios importantes en la decoración. En la decoración. Y claro, lo más importante es que la mayor parte de la decoración actual es la obra pictórica del embajador. Entonces, esto ha sido un descubrimiento. Debe ser algo secreto, porque yo he investigado y no he encontrado. He encontrado todos sus méritos diplomáticos y menos los artísticos. Así que tenemos que invitar al embajador a que nos diga quién hay encima de Ganesha, qué es esta obra pictórica, y quizá luego que nos enseñe alguna otra.
Okay, with great pleasure. So thank you so much for talking about my paintings. It's very close to my heart, because this is your self-expression. So this painting, this is about Krishna playing Holi, with Radha. Now, when Krishna was a child, Krishna had a dark complexion. Therefore, he's shown as blue. But his friend, companion, childhood companion, Radha, she was very fair, So Krishna went to his mother and asked that why Radha is fair and, why I have such complexion. So the mother says, don't worry, you take whatever color and paint her with that color. So that is the origin of Holi, they used to call at that time Basant. So here, therefore I have depicted that Krishna is, he is depicted generally blue. So he creates, the entire blue world around himself. And the Radha also starts, like in tattoo form, I showed the blue colors on her body, So this is the Basant, this is Holi, So, and it is very fascinating, because when you paint, you're thinking that, like you think like Krishna as a real human, because it was a avatar, but then he lived that avatar as a human being. And when you start, thinking him as a human being and the kind of struggles he had to go through that, his life, whether it is Kans or, other enemies which he had in his life and all. So it's very fascinating, so when you paint such themes,
Gracias, embajador, por compartir, esta parte artística, esta parte, el arte es el corazón, es como la poesía, en mi caso, y esto es especialmente relevante, Tener esta representación.
Gracias por su interés.
Krishna, Ganesha, Y muchas gracias por ello. Quizá le podemos invitar, embajador, a que nos enseñe alguna otra de las obras.
Please,
¿Sí? ¿Podemos hacerlo?
Let's go around,
Un gran corazón. Un gran artista. Embajador, por favor, cuéntenos.
No, I really thank you, Mr. Gopala, for taking so much interest in my painting. So, I'll show you two of my works. This is basically based on my book. I published a book of small poems with illustration. It is called as Heartscape. Whatever happens in heart, so I try to capture that. So there are small poems and illustrations. So one is, with more blue color. So one is called as Blue Heart, and I'll show you another one, which has more red color. It is called as Red Heart. There are a lot of small poems, for example, in one of the poems I'm saying that strings of your thoughts vibrate in my body. I live in its orchestra night and day. So something like that. So that's how, all pages have some poems,
Y luego estos poemas están enlazados, están imbricados, unidos,
So they are embedded.
cosidos.
Yeah. So they're embedded. So, so what I did that, I took the print on canvas and then I stitched them together. So that whatever happens within the heart, it can still remain very beautiful,
¿Y tenemos alguna obra de este formato?
So, the same, similar thing, I have, it is called as Red Heart, because it has, like more red kind of paintings, So these are the works, different works. Like, here, in one of the poems, I'm saying that, let us again start. I put at your feet my golden heart. This is my offering and prayers. Bless me, say Amen on your part. Like that. Oh, there are a lot of poems, here. So it's like that.
Gracias, embajador, por abrir el corazón de su obra artística.
Thanks so much for taking interest, See, the paintings, they have their life, because it is basically your emotional energy is there. So they, if someone comes and appreciate them, they feel very happy. So because they are living their own life, Yeah, so thank you so much, for appreciating them.
Una gran sorpresa para yoga, para construir un mundo mejor.
Yeah.
Gracias, embajador.
Gracias a ustedes. Thank you so much.